So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Oh well, hey everybody, happy Friday. How are you doing? I asked that question today to a lady in the middle of the Aldi's. I'm going to tell you what happened. Yeah, I am. Just because this is a good place to, talk about Southern hospitality, which I might refer to as Southern hospitality.
And a perfect opportunity to talk about grace, God's grace.
Yes, she's probably
grace
a
that is
pastor's
greater
wife.
than all my sin.
Okay, yeah, well, yours is good. Yours is big, you scoundrel.
Mine is big? What is, my grace is big?
Yep, your sin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know, I live with you.
Smell something funky.
You do?
Maybe it's my sin.
All right, well, hey, this is Free for All Friday, so do me a favor, everybody, if you feel like it, feel free to share this out on whatever social media platform you're at. Where are you going? Okay, anyway, I'm going to do this show without Bareface for a few minutes. He's leaving. I think. I don't know. But anyway, hello, Diane and Mia. Our odd var. Mia. I already said Melanie. Terry. Craig. I like this music. No, the phrase bless your heart was not used. Not out loud, actually. Okay, I'm going over here on Facebook. I'm going to log in over here on Facebook. Oh my gosh. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I have a product I need to recommend too, just so you know. Okay. Facebook. Wait, see, I know. It is what it is.
There's an echo in here, an echo in here, an echo in here.
Yeah, there is. Okay, I'm gonna share this out on Facebook. All right, here we go. All right, so you guys, this just in. Okay, so, many years ago when I moved here. Oh wait, hold on a minute. Start again. I could play it really low. When I moved here to Middle Tennessee, I got in this group on Facebook called I Heart Spring Hill. Literally everybody here in the city is in I Heart Spring Hill Facebook group.
Not literally.
Almost everybody. There's like 20,000 people in this group, and there's what, like 30, 40?
There's like 41,000. So
okay, so at least half the people in the city are in this group.
Sorry.
Will you be quiet so I can finish my thingy?
Yes,
anyway,
dear.
So I was trying to tell a story to make a point. Anyway, so I got in this iHeart group when we first moved here, and people were talking about all this stuff and everything. And this woman, she decided in the group to tell all of the people who moved from out of state to get the heck out of here. And I remember going, wow, that's kind of mean. That's like really rude, because you move to the South and you expect people to be nice, right? The Southern hospitality, you ever heard of that?
There is some.
Okay, well, anyway,
There's a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, there actually is. And so anyway, it's kind of funny because I haven't had any really, really bad experiences here, except being ripped off by the guy when we first started.
But
That.
he's not from here.
Yeah, he was from Pennsylvania. So,
Nothing against Pennsylvania peeps.
but anyway, so today I go to Aldi's, minding my own business in there, saying hi as people usually do, because that's what nice people do. And this woman comes up, and I said hi to her. She's like, "Hi," and I'm like, "How you doing?" And she's like, "Lousy." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's not good." She's here, and I'm like, "Really?" I was shocked that she said that, because to me this place is like a ghost town compared to Southern California. And I asked her completely innocently, with no snarkiness or anything. I said, "You really think it's crowded here?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she just went on this rant. And it was a rant. I'm telling you, there's people looking at her. And, ooh, I think somebody cut the cheese. Ooh, boy, that's bad. Was that you?
No,
Was it
it
the
wasn't
dog?
my sin. That's why I got up, because I thought something doesn't smell right. I just wanted to see if there were any gifts for us
Oh.
anywhere, but no, it just seems
Oh my
to
gosh, that's horrible.
be
Anyway.
the gaseous substance. I think it's your dog behind you.
Well, anyway, so long story short, she just goes on this rant about, how crowded it is here, and she's lived here forever. She's class of 79, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, well, I moved here from Southern California. And she literally said to my face, "Why don't you go back where you came from?" And then walked away. And I said, "What?"
You're a little bit loud, just so you know.
And she's like, "You heard me. Go back where you came from." I said, "Don't you think that's kind of rude?" I said, "You're from the South. Do you not think that was rude?" And she's like, "You asked me first." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then instantly I had Vicky Fitch's voice in my head. "Remember, Stacy, when somebody's having a bad day, don't take it personal. Just ask yourself." And I said, "Shut up." And
I hate to interrupt your story. Can you turn your mic level down? Can you hear the distortion going on?
yes, I can. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay,
Maybe
good.
up a little much.
The odor is gone now. Thank God. Oh my
That
gosh,
seems like a pretty good level.
that was stinky. I don't know if it was Grover or Tug. Probably Tug. It's probably,
No, it was-
probably- I
I
don't
think it
know.
was Grover, because, yeah.
Grover hasn't really eaten anything.
I don't know, but
Okay, anyway, so can you guys believe that? And then I saw her in the store. Honestly, I really want to go up to her and just punch her in the face. I really did. I'm just being honest. Because people like that, putting aside, having a bad day, the fact that you're in Middle Tennessee, the southern part of the world, in the Bible Belt, she's probably a women's ministry leader or a pastor's wife. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but because it's like,
distorting again.
yeah, because it's like, it is what it is, right? So anyway. No, she actually walked away. I think she was about ready to punch me in the face for just being a Californian. Although I'm really not a Californian.
You intruder.
So well, that's the thing. That woman, and then the woman on the iHeart group 5 years ago, same thing. It was like, all you Californians need to get out of here. And I'm like going, yeah, well, if I was an illegal alien, I could totally understand why you would feel that way, but I am an American, and I am a
At least you know you're free.
I am a citizen of America, and I can live wherever the heck I want. If
Yeah.
I want to move here to Middle Tennessee and invade your stupid little town by bringing in more people and making it more prosperous, then I'm going to. Anyway, I don't know. How do you guys deal with rude people like that? I mean, really? I mean, seriously, I'm just curious. How would you have handled that? Because there was people looking at her, and I'm like, I actually said out loud, I said, yeah, she must be having a bad day. That poor thing. Bless her heart.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you ever had anybody, when
Well-
you've said that? I mean, you know a lot of people in this city. I actually took her picture. I'm tempted to post it on Facebook, just so you know.
It's not a sin to be tempted, but anyway, I almost got on iHeart the other day to ask for forgiveness.
For what? Being
Well,
a Californian?
Well, no, I was coming home, and after a long day, it was well after 8.
Hey, Jason, nice to see you.
Anyway,
I was born in New York, Jason. Yeah, anyway.
So going down the road, and there were a line of cars in front of me going way under the speed limit, because I think it was the lead car was going way under the speed limit, and with only a 2-lane road, that is 1 lane in each direction, and solid there's no passing. It was like, oh well, I was cool with that. It's like people speed around here anyway. It's kind of refreshing to go under the speed limit on these narrow roads. But then someone came up behind me, all up in my business, their grill and their headlights, that's all I could see in my rearview window. Of course, my car is a smaller car, and they had a larger SUV, which I found out after, where, all I see was grill and the edges of the headlights in my back window, and I'm like, good night, And so, I can only go as fast as the cars in front of me.
Did you flip him off?
I did not.
Oh, good. That's good.
But I did pull off at the next
Actually, Randall is not a California boy.
Yeah.
He was born in Colorado.
Yeah. So,
Shows you how well you know us, Melanie.
Yep.
Uh-huh. You got that one wrong, girlfriend. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, so I turned off at the next possibility.
Yeah.
Turned out, and then I just pulled back out and got behind the line. Of course, they could only go so fast because that line ahead of me, that's why I was going slow. And so they were, when I turned off, I turned off as quick as I could just to get out of their way. And they honked as they drove by. Like, good, got it off. I don't know what they were thinking, but they, there's no reason. I got out of their way. So they honked. And that irritated me. It's like, hey, I got out of your way. But lo and behold, they couldn't go any faster than I was going because all the cars in front of me. So I turned out and I got behind them because, I was just, pulled out aside, let them pass, got back in on the road. And so anyway, now I'm behind them and I was, we should take no delight in the punishment of the wicked. But it was like, now you can see I got out of your way and you still, and so I started.
You should go, na 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 na. Now you have to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I was, the horn honk really raised
gets
my
you.
ire.
It does.
It's like, so when I was behind them, I don't doubt they could hear me, but I was like, come on, speed up. You're in a hurry. Come on, let's go. The light's green. Come on, go. And they could probably see me in my, could probably see me screaming back there. So, as I turned to where I was going, they were straight. They raised their hand out the window and flipped me the finger.
They did.
Yeah.
Wow.
But my intent was to get on the I Hate Spring Hill group. Oh, I'm sorry, I heart except for this traffic and that donut shop and this drive-through and that. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
So-
but I was going to get on it to say, I was going to go on and say, to that person, I pulled off the road hastily, I was upset and this is why, and I shouldn't have been behind you screaming. I lost my cool and forgive me for that. And I really shouldn't have lost my cool. I mean, just because they're being a butthead doesn't give me permission to be one. If I become one, then I've done no better than them. Folks, if you haven't listened to it yet, on Bible News Radio account on Bullhorn, bullhorn.fm, or getbullhorn.com. Either one. Getbullhorn.com now, / bullhorn.fm. Just so you know.
They're
Anyway.
stepping up their game. There's some big surprises in store.
Yeah, anyway.
So if you're on Bullhorn, you're going to be really happy, I hope.
Bible News Radio Count, today's 3-minute devotion, actually it's 2 minutes and 58 seconds, is called Lawbreakers. I encourage you to listen to it, and it kind of convicted me today, and even more so after what I was thinking about, my reaction to.
Well, and you know what? That actually jumps into a topic that I really want to talk about with everybody because, we do this show every day. If you watch us, you pretty much know us and you still show up. Thank you.
Yeah.
5 hours a week, you get the harps. Aren't you lucky?
Like 7 hours a week. Well, five hours I get the harps, and then like another 2 hours I get the harp. So.
Or if okay. Anyway, so there was a couple
then you
of
add
people.
up all the stuff in Bullhorn there.
Yeah. So there's a couple of people that came in. I don't know, Kyle, Tony, somebody with prayer 11 or something like that was the hello watching from Milwaukee, prayer 111. I don't know if you're still in here, but if you are, hello.
Welcome, cheeseheads.
Is Bullhorn going to allow comments in a live broadcast? I don't know. I don't know. You want Bullhorn to be like Periscope,
only with no video.
Yeah. But this brings up the question, actually, a question for you, and that is because what me and Randall are talking about is actually attitude issues, right? So are you proactive or are you reactive? And there's really there's a huge difference to it, and I'm going to tell you what I'm writing this down so I don't forget because I've been having weird memory issues. My dad's rubbing off on me. So are you proactive or are you reactive? And right? So think about it. We all go through life, we have feelings and, we are people with feelings and memories and belief systems and all that stuff. And when a situation hits us, we can either be proactive about how we respond to it or we can react to it. I can tell you as a bludgeoning, I don't know if that's the right word.
You mean burgeoning?
Oh, somebody else. Okay, as a burgeoning. God, somebody's got gas, man.
It's the G-Dog.
You think so? Did you give him something to eat that I don't know about?
No, because T-Dog's back here and it's coming from that direction.
Boy, this is foul.
Maybe it's the ointment soaks through the skin. I don't
know. It smells like really bad farting, though.
Because it is. Just so you know, people. Dogs pass gas, too.
Oh, my gosh. That's really bad. That reminds me, I'm going to get back in track, but I remember when I was doing my internship at Hope International University, there was a lady who was also an intern. She was blind. And she had a seeing eye dog, and that dog, it was a Labrador. It would come in, it would sit right next to me and fart through the whole supervision for a whole hour. Anyway, back to the whole proactive thing. As an entrepreneur, especially doing sales in particular, because, we've all, been talking a lot about sales. A lot of us in here, we know salespeople, and of course I sell Legal Shield, so I guess technically I'm a salesperson now. But the thing is when a problem comes up, are you proactive, as in asking, how can I, right? How can I solve this problem? How can I, blah 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 blah? Or are you reactive and you go, like that lady was today to me. She was completely reactive, having a bad day, just because I say hi and ask a question in response to her comment, she pretty much tells me to go the hell, get the hell back where you go or you belong with. I'm like, so clearly she was reactive. But are you that way, right? Are you that way with God? Are you that way with, in your marriage, in your singleness, in your relationships, in your challenges every single day? Are you that way? As a pastor, Pastor Garrett, you're in here. I wonder as a pastor, how often you see that in your church, or from you, or your deacon board or elder board or whatever. What are the majority of the problems that you encounter? Is it because people are proactive in trying to solve the problem, or they're reactive and creating more of a problem because they're not responding to it actually correctly? I see Christ as being very proactive in trying to combat issues, and I see the Pharisees as being very reactive towards whatever it was the issue was. It didn't matter what it was. The Pharisees, they were totally reactive, whereas Jesus was, very proactive with whatever the situation is. Hey, Tim Gillette, nice to see you, my friend. So it was an interesting question, in my opinion. And I'm glad the dog is, the flatulence is gone. That's good. I don't know. And Randall is unflappable. Yeah, you are.
I don't know about that.
Well, no, he's not really.
No, not
I
really.
know how to make
I just told you an incident where I was very much flapped.
Yeah. Well, driving does that to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Really? Is he in your lap?
Yes.
Seriously?
I thought it would help. He's hungry. He's unflappable unless it's mealtime.
That's how to break Tuggy Bear. Don't feed him at his regular feeding time.
All right, I'll let you down. He's going to squirm.
No, don't look at me. I already told you you're eating after dinner, after the show. We have to talk to our people. You need to build a bridge and get over it. Okay, so anyway, so what do you guys think, huh? Yeah.
About
Are you proactive or reactive in your walk with God?
I tend to be reactive in my walk in life, responding to circumstances a lot of the time. Just that's my walk with God. I don't know. I guess a little more proactive, but then that should be, that should reflect itself in our experience with the world. After all, prayer is a matter of going to God with our experiences from the world, and then going to the world with our experiences from God. That's what a healthy prayer life is, I think.
So Kyle the Jehovah, I'm not really sure you're actually Jehovah, but
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Do female pastors have different labels? Like, are they called something different?
Not that I'm aware of, knowing of a few local, it seems like here in the Southeast, they're all called Reverend. Even though the pastor, it seems like Reverend is a more common title.
For a woman?
Or man or woman, I'm saying it doesn't matter.
Really?
There's no specific, there's no differentiating title for women who minister or the senior pastor at a church. It's just Reverend.
Gotcha.
And even the male pastors are called Reverend. That seems to be
I see the
more
comments.
so than
I'm not going to be saying any of the dumb spam in there I'm not that stupid. Just so you know, I see it. I'm not going to say anything. Somebody tried to get me to say something bad the other day. And I'm like, really? Seriously?
And that's why 8-year-olds should not be on Periscope. I think the terms, you agree that you're at least 13, I think?
I think they lowered it.
Apparently.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. All right, so you guys want to talk about anything? Do you?
I see these jokes, poop jokes or human anatomy jokes. That's fine when you're 8 and 9, but if you're past 12,
I don't know.
Get with it, people.
As a woman,
yeah.
I never found any humor in that at all. I just don't see the appeal. I don't think.
Yeah, 8 and 9-year-old boys. Yeah, that's
Really?
Yeah. You've never been one. I've been one, and so yeah, that's my experience. Yeah, that was.
Thanks, Magnus. Kyle, if you read in Corinthians that women are supposed to be silent in the church, are there other verses? Well, first of all, I will say that in the context, if you actually understand the context of the Corinthian church in which that was written, then you would actually understand that passage. Second of all, if you're implying that this is church and I need to be quiet, not that you are, but there's a lot of puffed up, arrogant buttheads that listen to this show, and like to fling out a scripture here and there and actually attack me because I'm a woman. And I only say this because I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm like, huh, really? Okay.
And your head isn't even covered.
I know it isn't.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I actually discussed that with Joel when he was on my show, and so you can go back and watch that, and you can listen to his answer about that app. So, yeah. Well, so you want to address that issue with the whole women thing?
Well, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'm gonna put you back on screen while I pull up the scripture so we can look at it in context.
I didn't even know I was off screen.
No, you're not. But
What?
I'm just gonna put it on solo.
Oh, so my head. I'm really new to learning about the Bible. So what's the deal with that verse? Are you really? Because I don't believe you. Just so you know. Kyle, I don't believe what you're saying. I really don't. I think you're full of it, actually. and I know I have actually a friend of mine who's like, I love it when you talk to people that way. And I'm like, and have other people tell me, you're really not being a good example right now. But whatever. Okay, Randall. Okay, you promised. Oh, you promised that you are. Okay. All right. So, Kyle promises that he is new to the Bible. Okay. All right. Well, while Randall is doing that, let me remind you guys that you can go if you're interested in signing up for ID Shield. LifeLock yesterday had a massive breach. And I will say this, it's been interesting to watch the press coming out of Legal Shield because they're taking complete advantage of the fact that LifeLock had a breach. But I'm of the opinion that we need to not be prideful because pride goes before the fall. And technology can be hacked by anybody, including ID Shield, which is probably not a real good sales point for me to make that comment. But it is one of these things where I get the competition wants to jump on the other one. But the truth is LifeLock has had a lot of problems. They have a lot of problems. And it's a bummer. It really is. Fortunately, to my knowledge, there's never been a breach with Legal Shield or ID Shield. So if you're covered like I am, you are in good shape. Just so you know. If you want to be covered, or actually become an associate with Legal Shield, I would highly recommend it. If you're looking for some side income, it actually is. It's actually a good side income. When you get into it, they have a really good compensation plan. It's small buy-in. It's only $99 to buy in, and then you gotta get your materials if you decide you want to get a website or use the mobile app and stuff. Then there's a little bit of marketing cost there, but you can make it back. I already have. I've made back my investment and plus some. So if you are looking for some side income and you want to join my team, become an associate with me, then get in touch with me. If you want to sign up for ID Shield, which is identity theft protection, it's $9.95 a month. That's it. It covers everything. I think I've actually mentioned this here. I'm going to mention it again. Let's see here. I don't know where it's at on my little flip chart here, but yeah, see, how do you get started? Only $99, people, to get started. Yeah, you can. Hey, I did. You know why? Because I'm an entrepreneur, actually, and I love helping people out. And Legal Shield is seriously, honestly, the best company that I've worked with as far as a direct sales company. Their training rocks. Seriously, the training that they give you is awesome. And for ID Shield, they don't cover just your credit card and your bank. And this is what drives me crazy. Most people are like, well, I'm already covered. No, you're not. You're not totally covered. ID Shield covers all of this stuff right here. You see that? It covers your credit score, your social security number, passport, driver's license, medical ID, like all your medical info, all this stuff. Emails, all your emails up to 10. Your loans, your credit cards, bank accounts, black market website surveillance. They do all that, the dark web, and all your social media, all the 4 accounts. Like, for example, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and what's the other one? Okay, let me think. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. There's one more. What is the other one? Instagram. That's what it is. Instagram. It covers all that. And ID Shield Vault, they include that as well. That's a password manager. That's all included in your $9.95 a month membership. And you get all the perks too. You get all the 400, access to 400 places for perks. So I cannot tell you enough. Actually, I've had so many of you say, hey, yeah, I'm interested in this. I want to sign up, but you need to sign up. You know what I'm saying? You actually need to sign up and get yourself covered. Do it as soon as you can. Because you know what? Literally, it will start covering you the day that you sign up. So the best way to do that is contact me directly on my website. Just message me wherever you're at and sign up. And then also sign up for Legal Shield. In fact, I had somebody a couple of days ago tell me, hey, I want to sign up for ID Shield, but not Legal Shield. And then they went on to tell me that they're having some problems with their cable company and all this other stuff, and they need to get their phone back and all this other stuff. And they've been having this customer relationship problem with the company. And I said, you do know that Legal Shield will actually write a letter on your behalf to that company and request your money back and all that, and they will help you out for that small little $25 a month fee, right? You do know this, right? It's included. It really does cover a lot. And so I recommend it. I just can't recommend it enough because it really does cover it. And I've used it, and there's a gazillion instances you can use it. So just think about it and let me know. All right, you got your thing up yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And now we throw it back to Bareface. Bareface in the Word. This is the new segment called Bareface in the Word.
All right, gonna look at 3 different passages here.
I just made that up. It's kind of catchy, isn't it?
What, Bareface in the Word? Or?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How many of you think that's pretty catchy?
Like we with unveiled faces beholding the glory? That kind of bare face? Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, here am I, Sen Stacy. Anyway, we're going to look at 3 verses. These are the ones that often come up with regards to women, and some people kind of amalgamate them into one as a prohibition against.
All right, can I say one thing before you finish that?
Apparently can. You just did.
In response to Kyle, the $99 to join Legal Shield, let me just say that is lifetime. That's a one-time charge.
Not every year.
It's not every year. That's it to get in. Okay? Just so you know, that's it. And you'll make that up within your first 2 or 3 sales tops. So, okay, go. I'm done. Actually, you'll make it up within your first sale, actually.
All right. It's going to pop right on over.
All right.
First of all, in 1 Corinthians 14, lest we, conflate these all into one thing that prohibits women from having any part in any kind of a church service.
Yes.
First of all, dealing with the silence issue. As we look in 1 Corinthians 14, Paul is talking about the church services, and he starts out about talking about tongues. He says, how is it then, brethren, verse 26, when you come together, every one of you hath a psalm, hath the doctrine, hath the tongue, hath the revelation, hath an interpretation. He says, let all things be done unto edifying. If anyone speaks in a tongue, I'm just going to paraphrase here to get through all this, then make sure there's an interpreter. And verse 33, skip me down there, which sums it up kind of in the middle of this section. He says, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints." Let's pause there for a moment. How many people are you familiar with the temple, the Jewish temple? There were, excluding the Holy of Holies, which the high priest went into once a year, there were 3 other sections, 3 other areas, walled areas. There are doors in the walls, of course, gates, but 3 areas outside of the Holy of Holies was that area of meeting, which was just for men only. Outside of that was the court of the women. Outside of that was the court of the Gentiles. So if you're a Gentile, you're a proselyte, you've converted Judaism, but you're not ethnically a Jew, or weren't. I mean, there's no temple now, but those times you'd be in the court of the Gentiles. You could go no further. A Jewish woman could go, further on, more inside to the court of the women, but only Jewish men could go inside, that place, without going to the Holy of Holies, where in the men. Even today, the Western Wall, which is still there in Jerusalem, is a retaining wall, but it's the only thing related to the temple that once stood there. And even there, they've got that divided. There's the men's side and the women's side. It's a traditional thing that men and women are separated. Okay, then picture that, and the early church coming around in synagogues is Jews and Gentiles converting or becoming believers in Yeshua as Messiah. And so, now men and women are starting to come together into a service where they never had before. Traditionally, the place of women was in the home, and then the men were the one, that would go to synagogue. When we'd talk about, and Yeshua went to the synagogue and he read or whatever. There's the man with the withered hand, especially, things like that. It never mentions the women because the women weren't there. Simply the women, just as in the temple, in the synagogue, all the men were gathered together, their women weren't there. So the men were the one listening to, yes, it was, patriarchal, society kind of thing. And so it was the men there listening to the Torah every day, and they were the responsible for taking it home and teaching their families, their wives, and their children, whatever. Okay, so get that situation. The gospel comes along, and suddenly men and women are together, not segregated in a place of worship. All right, and so just as he's talking about tongues, and don't go all out of hand with there's a tongue, but there's not an interpretation. There's this prophecy, and then just one left and right, and no one really doing anything with it, just some people shouting out, let 2 or 3 speak at the most, and again, just kind of keep things in order. And right in the midst of that context, he says, let your women keep silent in the churches, for it's not permitted them to speak. Oh, there you go, right there. They can't speak. They need to shut their stupid mouths, and they can't say anything. But they are commanded to be under obedience. Oh, there you go. As also saith the law. Yes, yes, yes. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. They're not there to he's not talking about them preaching and, declaring the word and anything like that. Oh, you can't do that, you woman. You're supposed to be barefoot and pregnant. Can't be you can't read the word of God. Your eyes will burn. Your lips, you should fall out. No. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is shame for women to speak in church. Why is that in the midst of this? Hey, this all tongue things and prophecy, it's out of hand, it's confusion. God is not the author of confusion. Women, if the women will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, not to shout out, hey, hey, I don't know, hey, Avi, hey, Levi, what's he saying? All of a sudden there's women here in the worship service where they have not been before, and they may be unfamiliar with some things, and so women are, hey, and a lot of them, as history tells us, they were still segregated, even though they were and that happens in Protestant churches some. Heck, we did that in a children's ministry church went to. The boys on one side, girls on another side, and that's because kids will be kids and actually help them to be settle down a little bit. But, it was that way with adults. Even the Puritans did that. The men were on side, women were on side. So you can see that in these worship services, these women are suddenly, hey, Frank, what's that about? Hey, he's like, let them learn at home. This is not the time for Q&A in the service. They let them ask their husbands, not any old man, because men are superior. Let them ask their husbands at home. For it's a shame for them to speak up and ask all these questions, interrupt the service for that. They should,
You know what I think?
What?
I think there's going to be more women in heaven than men.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
I do. I think there will be. I think that the church by and large is run by more women than men. I think there's more women that give, more women that are involved. And then you get your male chauvinist pigs who like to take scripture out of context and smack a woman upside the head. And yet some of the closest people and the biggest funders of Jesus' ministry were women. Just so you know, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. I'm a lowly woman with big hair in the South, and I should go back to California because that woman told me so.
Anyway, we're almost a quarter till, and I want to get these out of the way, so I'll try to be a little more succinct.
But the thing is, it's free for all Fridays, so we can go as long as we want.
All right. But
we can do whatever we want. This is our show.
That's right. Don't like it? Touch the little magic white X there in the upper corner. Periscope people. The people on Facebook, I guess you just scroll down or whatever.
There's nobody
go to
on Facebook. Nobody's watching us today except our faithful few. That's right. You guys are super fans of the world.
And this whole women with their head covered kind of thing. In Paul's epistles, you often hear him differentiate. He says, the Lord, as the Lord has said, as the law said, as we just looked at. And then he'll say, I think, or I say, not the Lord. And sometimes he doesn't say this is my opinion, but neither does he say, thus says the Lord, or thus, this is in the law. And 1 Corinthians 11 is one of those which appears to be his opinion, his strong opinion, and it comes across as much, even in the English, as much as the Greek, about a woman having her head covered, and he gives reasons for that. We're not, because of the angels, we get into that and the whole Nephilim thing. Anyway, for all the reasons that he thinks, and he doesn't cite scripture. He doesn't cite, he's offering rhetorical questions. And doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame to him, but if a woman have long hair, it's glory to her, for it's given her for a covering. He never says, thus says the Lord, or whatever, and it comes across as opinion. But verse 16, but if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. So it wasn't even a custom in the churches that the women should have their head covered. This is Paul saying, this is what I think. This is what it seems, and, hey, nature teaches this, and this is why I think of this. He says, hey, but if any man seem to be contentious, if this is going to cause a rift in the church, that the women aren't having their head covers, then fine. Let's not get this out of, let's not be disproportionate about that. This is just what I think. This is what I believe. He says, hey, but if any man seems contentious, we have no such custom. We, the apostles, aren't, this isn't our tradition and custom we're insisting upon. Then neither the churches of God. This isn't a tradition. This isn't a thing we're all pushing. Hey, okay, if we're going to cause a, church split or something like that, don't get this out of whack. Don't take this out of, context or disproportionate. This is what I think, but hey, if it's going to cause contention, we have no such custom. Neither do the churches of God, neither the apostles nor all the churches have this tradition that says a woman must have her head covered. I think it's a good idea, but Paul says that. I think this is and this is my, and these are my arguments for it. The angels, nature teaches you this. Again, he never says the Word of God says this, and the Word of God says this, and the Lord said. It is offered as his, and he gives some
I can totally
good
understand.
arguments.
I could understand why people didn't like Paul.
Yeah.
I could, but I personally think Lord willing, if in heaven or paradise or whatever you want to call it when we're there, we get to meet him. This whole idea of getting to meet all the saints when we get there. There'll be Peter at the pearly gates.
All right, one more.
Okay. See, Bareface, he doesn't really know what his calling in life is, but duh.
Anyway, one more. It's another one that's conflated. The people that have the argument, oh, your head isn't covered, you should be silent, you shouldn't be teaching. They kind of conflict these verses so I need to unpack them and see them each. Disassemble this tangled mess and show where each one is in context. 1 Timothy chapter 2, instructions to women. In like manner also, like what? Well, praying for those in authority and stuff like that we need to, that we should live a quiet and peaceful life in all godliness and honesty. That's good and acceptable in the sight of God, and who wants all men to be saved, blah, blah. We should pray with holy hands, this kind of favor. In like manner also, the women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety. That is not, this is the old King James. It is not it's the opposite of just kind of in your face, and with sobriety, being sober, not carried away with worldliness or drunkenness. Anyway, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. Not that those things are wrong, but let not them adorn themselves. Let not that being, the depth of the character, what they wear, and the jewelry and the hair. But which becometh women professing godliness with good works. That's what should be identified as a woman is her good works. Godliness, not what she wears or how her hair is done. That ought to be what makes her stand apart as a good work. Let the woman learn in all silence with all subjection. There we go. Here's the good stuff. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man. Okay, but be in silence. There we go. Women can't have any part in ministry. There it is, right there. I suffer not a woman to teach, or usurp authority over the man, not a man, but the man. Talk about that in a moment, but to be silent. Okay. For I suffer not a woman to teach. The word there in Greek is didaktikos. You may be familiar with the English term didactic.
Yes, I am.
Which is, what does that mean?
Teach.
More specifically.
Dissect.
Well, what kind of teaching? Informational?
Yeah.
Just providing information? It's about providing instruction, not information, but instruction on this is how you are to live.
Yep.
So Paul says, and again, he's saying I didn't say thus says the Lord. He says I. But I think he's right. He's on solid biblical footing here. Old Testament even. But I suffer woman not to teach, didaktikos, give instruction to. This is how you should live, nor to usurp authority over the man. Not men, not a man, but the man. Who is the man? And I can bring up the Greek here. It's a definite article. Who is the man? Which man? Like the man, like sticking it to the man in power or whatever. But to be in silence, we get a clue here. For Adam was formed first, then Eve.
Yep, he was.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
That's right. Women are the ones who were deceived. Like Advar was posting over on Instagram a couple of weeks back, all these scriptures basically exposing us women for being the most deceitful ones. Just so you know, Advar, I noticed.
Wasn't being deceitful, being deceived.
I did. I noticed it, though. It was like a women bashing session that day that you were doing that.
Okay. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing. Childbearing? How does that happen? How does it childbearing? Women walking down the street wearing fancy hairdos and fancy clothes and jewelry, and boom, they get pregnant because they look so hot, or it just the stork comes to visit. Could this be talking about a marital relationship? Talking about Adam and Eve? Talking about childbearing? Interesting. Let's go on. She shall be saved in childbearing. She, singular. I can bring up the Greek text. It's a singular pronoun. She shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Who's they? Is that just kind of because, we want to use the right, we don't want to be politically incorrect, and, whether we don't want to call it, say, her, if it's really, if she identifies as he, or we, rather, it could apply to, any sort of transgender orientation. So rather than get it wrong with the wrong pronoun, we'll just use a generic they, right? No, no. In the Greek, it's a plural third person pronoun. So we got something interesting here. If she, singular, feminine, singular pronoun, she shall be saved in childbearing if they, plural, third person pronoun. So who's they?
Adam and Eve.
Well, yeah, a husband and wife. If they continue in faith and charity with holiness and sobriety, it's clear to me what's in focus here is not a woman in ministry, but a marriage relationship where we read in several places, Old Testament and New Testament, the husband is the head of the wife. He's the one with the spiritual responsibility in leading the home. And that's why Paul says, I suffer not a woman to teach, didactikos. Here's your instruction, nor usurp authority over the man. Not a man or men, the man. In a marriage relationship, the woman should not be the one saying, hey, bucko, this is the way you should live.
Yeah.
And this is how we're going to run this house. I'm taking over here, usurping authority over the man.
I would never do that. Nope.
Yeah, men just by being men don't have intrinsic authority just because they're men. Men. But in a household, a man is the spiritual leader. He's the one responsible. He's the one on the hook for the welfare, not only spiritual welfare, but just financial, physical welfare, social welfare, all of that. The man is on the hook for that in a marriage relationship. So it's talking about a woman singular over the man particular, talking about childbearing. Last time I checked, that's the relationship between a husband and wife.
And note how this passage ignores homosexual marriage. Just thought I'd throw that out.
And he's talking about Adam and Eve. Why didn't he bring up, Moses and Miriam, brother and sister? But didn't do that. He brought up a husband and wife. So when he talks about notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. My interpretation of this, and I could be wrong, I sometimes am. Paul is
not often though. You're pretty right on most of the time.
Paul is talking, especially when he just got done talking about praying that we might lead quiet and peaceful lives. He's talking about individual lives and then carry on our day-to-day lives. That we ought to live with without wrath and doubting and godliness and stuff like that. In our marriages, likewise, just like we're praying for those in authority, that we might live in quiet and peaceful lives. Women, in like manner, they shouldn't be usurping the authority of the man in the home.
Well, and think about this. This is what I find interesting about this, just from a cultural perspective, is that the feminist movement, when the feminists decided they were going to go work outside the home, just as an example, they were going to wear, quote, the pants in the family, It essentially flipped the dynamic of the home.
Nothing wrong per se, but
No.
when it's to neglect of
And that's
the
problem.
children
And any former feminist who has become a Christian, they will, I've talked to I played pickleball with a couple of people who used to be flaming liberals, and now they are born again, and they came back and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually believe that. They would actually tell you that, and it's just really subtle and deceptive how the devil get in there, and he did what he did in order to convince people. It used to be in the olden days that a man could go work and support his family on his
Right,
income. Today,
right.
you can't do that. Right. Today, even people like you and me have a hard time supporting ourselves on 2 incomes. It's like, because whatever. But
whatever.
the point is that that it is interesting. Plus, I actually, if you understand this passage correctly as a woman and as a husband, as a wife and a husband, then you understand that, like what Randall's just saying, that the responsibility, by and large, is on the man, but we have our role too, and that is that we need to respect our husband, and we need to honor them, because their ultimate job is to love us as Christ loves the church, which is a super high calling. And if a man doesn't do that, then they're being completely disobedient to Christ and not anything like him.
Yeah, a great point. Years ago, I heard a really good sermon by John Corson of Applegate Christian Fellowship, which I think is in Oregon. I don't know if he still pastors there, but it's a Calvary chapel. But many years ago, 30-some years ago probably, I heard this sermon, but he was talking about Ephesians chapter 5, and where the command there is for husbands to love their wives and see that wives respect their husbands. And he talked about, just human nature, that, you'll see a man respect a coach or, boss at work, and, that's the nature of men. They'll respect authority like that, and they have that. But when it comes to being loving and affectionate, that's generally not a trait, by and large, that you associate with men. You'd be compassionate and sensitive and loving, and then women, not trying to bag on women, but I've seen it too. And this is what he said. He brought up. He said, he's right. He says, when you bring women into the workplace, or women's team where they have a coach, or women that have a female boss, and it can get a little catty, well, who's she? And there isn't the same natural respect that just falls into line in that case.
That's true. Women are catty.
And so
when you're around strong women, if you're a strong woman around other women, and there is actual, real, genuine, mutual respect, then that is the jewel of a relationship.
Yeah. So it said, men respect, women love. Well, no brainer, that's what we do. But he says, men love, women respect. He calls us to do things that are contrary to our natural inclinations, that we might depend on the supernatural provision of God. Yeah. Husbands, love your wives. You be the loving. You be the sensitive. You be the compassionate one. And women, respect your husbands. Not all men, subservient to all men. It's that nuclear family relationship.
Well, what really irks me is how men get a bad rap.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean, I know you were trying to be funny, but no, seriously. As a retired therapist, I can speak with a little bit of authority to what I saw in the counseling that I did with couples. And, it's interesting because, men will get the brunt often of a woman's anger.
Scorn.
Yeah, that was a good word. I was trying to think of a nice word. But yeah, and, and then, and they will be, the wife will just be the bee, you know what I mean? And I remember often, I mean, I'm only saying this because I was that. I get it, when I was first married and going through my recovery process, I was violently angry, very angry woman. And if you knew me back then, you would be like, oh my gosh, who is this woman today? I mean, Randall could tell you, he was there, but there's a lot of hurt there. But the thing is men don't get to be men. I mean, real men. Our culture has feminized men. They have mocked men. They have demeaned men, and women do too. And if you're a woman that does that, you need to knock it off, and you need to learn to respect the man as the man. And I'm not saying whatever his job is, just as the person. Men are stronger than women biologically, right? And there's the other verse. Sometimes people who are ignorant scripturally will call that out and say, well, women are the weaker vessel. Yeah, we are. And you know what? But they think it means weak-minded. No, it's not. I happen to have a master's degree. Randall's got a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
Does that mean I'm weak-minded? Well, I have a higher education than he does. But you know why? Because he put me through grad school. That's why. But no, it means physically. We are physically weaker than men are. And I mean, I play pickleball 5 days a week. I can tell you, when I play with men, and I play with a lot of men. Today I was playing with pretty much all men, except for me and Amy, we played. But when I play with all men, it's those three men, and I'm there in the fourth, and I guarantee you they hit the ball way harder than I do. And trust me, I've gotten hit quite a bit with the ball. And, it's just they're stronger. We need to respect that. Randall has to open jars for me now, just so you know. I have him carrying up my dad's laundry upstairs because I'm not going to carry it all up. It's heavy. It's like, but the thing is why is that such a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing for women to actually, admire a man for who he is? Women need protectors and defenders, and frankly, that's what men should do, but they've been told not to. And it's like, ugh.
And
Anyway.
And to keep it biblical, I as a man will speak to you men. If you men think, well, I'm the king of my castle, therefore my wife should bring me my newspaper and my beer, and that's what it's about. That's what being the king of the castle is all about. Being the man of the house that demands a certain respect. No. You are to earn it. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. How did he love the church? And gave himself for her. Go read Philippians chapter 2 and see how Christ loved the church. Who being part of the Godhead did not consider equality with God a thing to be tenaciously held on to. I deserve this. I'm part of the Godhead. He didn't see that as something to be tenaciously held on to, but relinquished that privilege and took on the form of a man. From being divine, took on human flesh. Not only a man, but a servant. Mm-hmm. And not only a servant, but a servant obedient to death. And not just any death, but death on a cross, which is really humiliating, painful way to die. And Paul says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. So,
yeah.
So Ephesians chapter 5:25, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church.
You're getting some applause, Bareface.
Cool.
So, I have to say that women, you need to build up your man. And it's interesting. It seems we're on this topic. What I find interesting is that, women, okay, let me just speak to the women. Women, you have power. Okay? Let's just say it. you have power over your husband or your boyfriend. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if they're not an abusive person, I
Not
guess,
not
say
in the
this.
usurping authority
No.
kind of way.
What I mean though is your influence. You are very influential,
Oh, yeah.
and you have no idea how influential you are. I'm just saying this because I've been married almost 26 years to Randall.
Really? So,
Yeah, I know.
oh, but to you.
I know, but we've known each other almost 28 years, which makes me feel a little bit old.
We're too young to be this old.
But I mean, I feel like we have a little bit of credibility.
Street cred, yeah.
Yeah, because we've been married so long. But the thing is even in the Bible, Samson and Delilah, people they look at that, right? Well, Delilah, she knew Samson's weakness, right? I mean, she was able to charm him.
He had several weaknesses.
Sure, he did. But my point is that, if a man feels demeaned at home and not honored,
I don't even think they were married.
not
but-
respect, I don't think they were either. But, if he doesn't feel secure, that's when he goes somewhere else. And, and it's usually not even about a sex thing. I mean,
Right.
Yes, obviously there's that issue, but ultimately it's
It's a respect thing.
yeah, and you have the opportunity to build that person up and to make him who he is, and likewise they do you too. I mean, if you're a mother, that man can either break you as a mother or he can build you up and say, hey, you're doing a great job. I know this is a hard thing. Why don't you go get your nails done or whatever, It's marriage is not easy. It's kind of
Not for cowards.
It's kind of funny if you think about it, because no other species God created gets married. They all kill each other. Although I do find it interesting that the male cardinal and the girl cardinal that show up at my bird feeder, they always come together.
There are lots of animals
It's
that
so
are
cute. They always show up and eat together.
exclusive pairing for life.
Yeah. Well, before our show is over, I want to bring up something completely off. It's not even on this topic, but what I do want to say is that this weekend is tax-free weekend, in case you didn't know that,
Oh, in Tennessee?
in Tennessee and in Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi
And-
does that too. Huh?
And I have to tell you, I actually heard about this morning from Dana from Point of Grace, who showed up at pickleball this morning. He wasn't at pickleball. Me and him totally parked next to each other as we were both getting to the gym this morning. He told me about it. So if you're in Tennessee or Mississippi and you're one of these people who gets all fanatical on tax-free weekend, this happens to be the weekend. It actually starts tonight here and in Mississippi, apparently. If you want to go, I guess a lot of people go buy big, huge ticket items and they'll save on tax.
Yeah, the purpose is for buying school supplies. It's to
Yeah.
give parents a break as they buy things for school, whether that be kindergarten or college. It's not just anything you buy. It has to be
Yeah, well, this article...
education related things, and there's a limit on stuff
Yeah,
as well.
this actually says here, Tennessee shoppers will not have to pay sales tax on items such as clothing and school and art supplies that are $100 or less per item. Computers priced at $1,500 or less are also tax-free. This event runs through Sunday. And as far as Mississippi, it includes clothing and shoes that are $100 or below. School supplies and computers are not tax-free this weekend in that state. Oh, also Arkansas sales tax holiday is next weekend if you're in Arkansas. And it's basically the same thing. So that's kind of interesting. I did not know that. Did not know that.
Yeah,
But
I was going to say, so even if you don't have children, yeah, you can go buy a computer, fairly decent laptop for under $1,500, and get it tax free. Though the intent is that you're buying it for a student.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not how I always... Well, Mead.com, just so you know, if you are a Legal Shield member, they actually have a 20% off discount and free shipping for Legal Shield members, which actually exceeds prices on Amazon and other sales that they actually have at Mead.com. So if you're a Legal Shield person, you really like stationery, Mead.com, go into your perks, get in there. You can check out your you can get a discount there. As I was telling my Facebook group of our members, I actually said, if you want to get me a gift of anything, stationery, pens, paper, little journals, notebooks, I would be in heaven. I just love that stuff. What else was I going to tell you? I think that was...
Well, we should tell them about a free Bible study they can still get while the month lasts.
Yeah, Ariel. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do that, or should I?
Go for it.
Well, you guys know Ariel Ministries is our sponsor, and if you go to ariel.org, you can save 20% on anything, anytime when you use the coupon code Bible News. But you can also get the free Bible study, which is only going to last through this week. Actually next week.
Yeah, through Tuesday.
We'll be putting up a new one. And that's on the Ministries of the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So how many of you guys in the chat room actually have downloaded this one? I'm just curious. Hey, Marlene. Nice to see you there. Thanks for coming on in. Yeah, the Ministries of the Holy Spirit. You should do that. Check that out. Download it. It's free. Also, you can join my email list if you'd like. And don't forget, you guys can also get Yeshua, Life of the Messiah, from a Messianic Jewish perspective. Let your life be an inspiration. Get to know Yeshua from a Jewish perspective in this latest release from Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum. Great Bible teacher. Definitely one of the best of our century, actually, I think. And I'm not just saying that, I actually mean it. His teaching changed my life, and it's good. So Melanie did. Okay, good. Good. By the way, I just also want to say, I haven't even brought this up in a couple of days, which surprisingly, honestly, if you like our show and you want to give us a donation of any size, feel free to donate at BibleNewsRadio.com. And if you want to do that monthly, donate there as well. Tell me that you want to be a pillar of the community, which means you donate every month. And I will gladly add you to that list, and we'll go ahead and send you out a special gift in email for your donation. It's not tax deductible because we are not a nonprofit in more ways than one. We're not nonprofit, but that is a way to support the show. I mean, I really appreciate it. Randall and I, we really appreciate all of you guys who donate all the time. If you want to become a member of Legal Shield or get identity theft protection, let me know. If you guys, those of you who are all over or who are all already members of Legal Shield and identity theft, if you guys know other people, like in your circle, you have some references or referrals you want to pass my way, I would love that as well. I'd love to get them signed up and get them all protected because I told you, it's a mission. Actually, it really is, It really is, just so you know. And I have launched a new podcast called Stacy Lynn Legal, where I'm doing a couple of podcasts a week talking about the latest stuff going on with identity theft and issues like that will actually help you continue to get protected. There really is actually a lot to the membership. Those of you who I've actually sat down with, this is the whole, I can go through it in 15, 20 minutes or shorter, depending on your time. I can refer you to webinars. I can send you email. I can send you text and video. There are a lot of things that we can share with you regarding Legal Shield. Usually people think of it as expensive, unresponsive, and unaccountable, but Legal Shield has actually changed that. It's been around since 1972, so it's not a fly-by-night company by any stretch of the imagination. And our vision is to provide equal access to the liberty, equality, opportunity, and justice that every human deserves. The liberals like to say, equal, blah, blah, etc., blah, blah. Well, this is a company that actually puts that into action. That's the vision of the company. And we're here to help that out. So I think, that's it there. All right. It looks like I'm getting lots of emails saying now Stacy Lynn Legal is now actually available other things. I want to end the show today by sharing with you a conversation I had with my father last night. Many of you probably know already that I take care of my dad. He's 90 now, which is kind of amazing. He's got dementia and Parkinson's, and he is very slow. He's slow at everything because he's very old. He's very old. But I was delivering his laundry to him last night, and I was sitting there with him for a couple of hours, which honestly, I love my dad, but sometimes 10 minutes can be really draining because he's got dementia, and dementia is just very, it's just difficult, right? But I prayed before I went, and I said, Lord, I really just want to be a blessing to my dad. I just want to spend time with him and be in his presence and learn whatever it is that you have for me, because, I don't know when he's going to die. I don't know when I'm going to die. But as I was sitting there last night in his room, we were talking. I was talking to my dad about his business. He used to be a restaurant owner. In fact, he owned a restaurant for many years, actually. Well, a couple of years, actually. And he was really good. My dad is very good with people. He's a very soft-spoken man. He's very funny, actually. He's got my personality, or I should say I have his, which is ironic, given that I didn't grow up with him. But one of his favorite sayings is, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, how are you? His tagline is, I'm mean, miserable, and hard to get along with. And he means it funny because he's anything but mean, miserable, or hard to get along with. But he's got that weird sense of humor. So we were talking about business, and I was explaining to him some stuff and some struggles that I've been having with with being an entrepreneur, because it's, being an entrepreneur is not for wimps. Bible News Radio is a company. We are a struggling financial company, and it's a battle. The struggle is real, right? And so I was just asking my dad. I said, Dad, tell me some lessons. Give me a scenario or whatever. And so for about a good 45 minutes, he told me this big long story about how he built a restaurant and worked with people and all this other stuff. And I'm waiting for the point, right? I'm like sitting there super patient and everything, and I'm waiting for the point. And so I said, okay, so let me ask you, so what is the point? How do I get what I need? How do I deal with my internal issues that I have, of inadequacy and, feelings of rejection and stuff like that. And my dad, as clear as could be, he says to me, one word. And I said, okay. He's, pray. And I said, I do pray. And then he looked at me. I'll never forget this because it was just so weird. He looked at me and he's like, listen to me. I'm like, okay. He's like, pray. And I said, I do pray. I said, I prayed before I came here. I pray for blah, 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 blah. And my dad's like, Stacy? I'm like, yes. He's like, pray. And I didn't say anything. I almost feel like this was a Peter and Jesus moment. And then he says to me, I mean, really pray. And I said, okay. And then, he said, really? He said, really pray. And I said, he said, just like you're sitting here talking to me, talk to God that way. And then he went to tell me, he went on to tell me that, he often wakes up in the middle of the night because he's old and he, doesn't sleep good. He's got some struggles with that. And he says every time he gets up, and wakes up in the middle of the night, he's fearful and stuff. He'll get down on his knees by the bed and he'll pray and he'll ask God to give him what he needs. And then, he said it's not usually long, but I always kneel and then I get up and I get in bed. And he said I fell right back to sleep. God gave me what I needed. I said, okay. So I just want to share that with you because, I hang out with a lot of old people. And, my dad, I did not grow up with him, but he is a man of prayer. And he does not know that like 4 years ago when we went and got him, that I saw him praying secretly. He didn't know that I actually saw him kneeling by his bed in his little Depends and his t-shirt this one night. When I went in to check on him, he was supposed to be sleeping in bed, but was he? No. He was actually kneeling by the bed and praying. So I have a dad that prays, and I know it because he doesn't know that I've seen him pray in secret. He has no idea. But when my dad told me that, I was like really convicted because I was like, yeah, I don't always pray, like really pray the way that he was saying. And so I just want to share that with you because I know a lot of you have your issues too. It's not just me and Bareface that we have our struggles. But the question is, do you really take time to pray? I did a bullhorn on this morning. Interestingly, it was on the heels of talking to my dad last night. And so if you haven't listened to what I recorded this morning, go over to Bullhorn and listen to that. And leave a comment after you do. Let me know what you think. All right. Randall, you have any thoughts on that?
It's make sure. Yeah, okay. I was getting set up for closing, so I want to make sure that I'd still have audio when I came on. That's why the delay. Anyway, great advice. Yep. And so many scriptures come to mind where that is the solution.
Well, the funny thing is, it wasn't so much what he said as how he said it. Because my dad is never really exhortive towards me.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
and there's only a few times where he's been he's been like that, and, my dad, he's gone through a lot. He's a Korean War veteran. He has lost 4 wives. He lost a child as well. I was ripped from him. Basically, I didn't have any relationship with him for 40 years, and I don't know what happened during all that time. He held down a job for 42 years in the same company, and he isn't, the weird thing is he's not the person that I wanted to get to know, but he's the person God wanted me to get to know at this stage. So all these idiots out there who are like, well, people, the quality of life, and I'm like, you know what? You're an idiot. If you don't see that people, even with some type of brain disorder disease, have something that they can offer you, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you because you're an idiot, basically. That's what I would just say. You're an idiot. You're a fool if you don't listen to people, especially older people. You know what I mean? So I think that's, and it's weird because you know what? You're all older than somebody, so you are in that category. But anyway, Paul, I see you over there on Facebook. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. I hope you're doing a little bit better than you were the other day. Let me know if you're doing all right. Okay. All right. So next week, Pastor Tommy Norman will be joining me on Tuesday. We're gonna come back on Monday. We're gonna talk about probably some headlines, Lord willing, what happened over the weekend. Are you gonna do a weekend in the Word?
That's the plan.
Okay. Spareface is gonna do that. And we're going to have an interesting week next week, I hope. So hope you guys join us. Thank you always. Thank you guys for joining us. I know that sometimes you might feel like, really, what was the point of spending time with us? or maybe not. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, yeah, this is the highlight of your day. If it is, thank you for considering us that. I appreciate it. I know seeing all of your little bubbles on there, it brightens my day. I think about you a lot. I do. I think about all of you a lot. So, let me know if you need anything. I will do our best to, however it is, help you. Okay? All right. So, be bold, people. That's right. Be bold. Stand up and go with God because He loves you. And to quote my dad, pray. I mean, really pray. And have a good weekend.